Thank you, Yeti. I need to step in here because it's a premiere, and you should be very proud to be part of it. So we had the Technology Forum yesterday. The Technology Forum is an event where we present technologies to an audience that consists of companies, partners, multipliers, and investors. And since we have this ICT focus since several years, we've been able to obtain fantastic support from really global IT companies. And in order not for you, the conference audience, to lose out on this opportunity, we have taken the liberty and let the pitches of yesterday repeat today and also tomorrow. And Charlotte will chair a very nice and inclusive panel, which we will introduce, and we will have messages from this panel, then we have pitches, and then combined with other comments on the pitches by the panel. So welcome to this interactive session, the concept car approach. Charlotte, over to you.
So thank you very much, Wilfred, and Yeti, thank you very much, and congratulations to you both for assuming the chair of moderator for the Zero Conference. Congratulations. So welcome, everybody, and welcome to an afternoon of innovation and impact using the concept car approach. My name is Charlotte McClain-Nhlapo. I'm the Global Disability Advisor at the World Bank Group. And today I'm wearing a green suit. No surprises there. I have long brown hair. I'm wearing green framed glasses. I'm a middle-aged woman, and I'm brown. And I'm thrilled to be back in Vienna at this conference. But let's quickly get to what we've come here to do, and that's to explore some really exciting innovations. Today we will hear about the marriage between theory and practice using a super innovative approach called the concept car. We will hear about the booming AI race and how it can be used by all and how everybody can benefit from it. We will have panel discussions that are paired with pitches, and trust me, you'll want to stay to listen to those pitches, because I had the privilege of being part of the group yesterday at the Tech Forum. I want to note that the experts on the stage and those that will come up come from very diverse backgrounds. They also come with very diverse innovations, so a range of innovations will be presented up here. We have engineers, we have designers, we have innovators, and dare I say, a few nerds. We will also have them share with us some good practices, practices that are scalable, and practices that have begun to set standards globally. But very importantly, standards that are user-centric, and that is very important in thinking about disability inclusion. So to get us started, I would like to introduce the panel. We have Chris, and Chris is the head of accessibility and disability inclusion for EMEA at Google. Chris, do you want to just say hi to everyone?
Hello, everyone.
Hi, Chris. And then our next speaker is Eric, and Eric is the chief engineer at the Scott Morgan Foundation. Eric, you want to say hi too?
Hi, too.
And last but not least, we have Stefan Framil from the Corporate Global Head of Accessibility, MSD. Say hello.
Say hello, and I'm not wearing green.
Great. So let's get started with you all. And perhaps we can get started with you, Chris.
What would you like me to talk about?
Let's start off with you telling us a bit about your work, the innovation around AI. Where are we going with this space?
Absolutely.
Take it away.
Thank you. So again, my name is Christopher. I lead accessibility and disability inclusion for EMEA for Google. What this means is I have the opportunity to listen to the community in Africa, in the Middle East, in Europe, and bring it back into Google to understand how to make our products and our platforms and our services more inclusive and more accessible, because you have to be intentional. It doesn't happen by accident. Whether it is something as simple as a wheel or something as complicated as AI, the connection and conversation with the community to understand the problem, to understand the opportunities is critical. So the way we do this is through partnership. We meet with individuals, we meet with advocacy organizations, we meet with academic institutions to understand where the roadmap is and what we get to focus on. It's been one of the most rewarding things I've done. I've been in tech for 30+ years, and the ability to have impact on so many people using technology is literally awesome. And the work that we do in AI is, when it's thoughtfully done, when it's carefully created and co-created, has the opportunity to be really meaningful, whether it is giving someone the opportunity to hear what's being said or speak on their own behalf in their own voice when they want to. The empowerment that technology provides is what drives me, it's what drives us in terms of our pardon the shill moment, but our mission statement is to make the world's information universally accessible and useful, and we take this seriously.
That's fantastic, and some really critical words come out of your short intervention there. The importance of co-creation, the necessity of repeated consultation, and that was something you said a few times, as well as empowerment. So thank you for that, and we'll come back to you. Eric, tell us a bit more about what you do.
Yeah, let me start with maybe a story. So I've been at big technology companies like IBM and Lenovo for 30 years, and I decided to join the Scott Morgan Foundation last August, so it's fairly recent. The very first thing that happened is I got on an airplane to Amsterdam to go meet a very, very cool individual, completely locked in a wheelchair. So we walked in to this beautiful house in Amsterdam, like a side city in Amsterdam. Everything is connected to the system, the platform that he's running. So he's got this wheelchair, completely mobile. He only uses his eyes, so he can only talk with his eyes. But he's got this big screen in front of him. He's got an eye tracker at the bottom of it, a keyboard. He's got a big computer system that is, can run a variety of AI systems and large language models. And his discussion to me was, hey, I want to be able to communicate faster. I want an AI system that can speed up what I'm doing from, he's probably running about 15 words per minute just with eye tracking, to something that is more approachable to how we all talk, about 150 words per minute. It was absolutely fascinating. He's opening these beautiful sliding glass doors. The whole heating and cooling system is controlled with his eyes. Everything is at his fingertips. It was like a sympathy. There was a person that would help him. He has a tracheostomy, and I said it right. Tracheostomy. So there's a helper there 24/7, and like clockwork, come in, clean out the tracheostomy. There's all kinds of things going on, but everything was completely seamless. That was kind of like first episode, and I'm like, okay, well, this is cool. We can do all kinds of technology advancements with what we have here. This is a great platform to work on. Second person I went to, another cool place in Mallorca, completely different. This person is in a dark room, curtains all around, and everything is chaos. Also completely locked in a bed. The system, everything's beeping and noises going on, and everything is functionally working, but in a completely chaotic way. And so the contrast between these two concept cars, and to be able to build a platform and a solution for both of these, kind of blew my mind a little bit. And as an engineer, I'm like, this is awesome. These are like the two extreme cases of two people completely locked into their bodies, only able to communicate with their eyes, with eye tracking, but in two totally different scenarios. So that's a little bit about me.
So that's fascinating. And I think, again, one of the key points that I heard you talking about was the efficiency of AI, but that it has such great potential in terms of independence. And I think those two scenarios that you set out really showcase that. And so thank you for sharing the power of AI. So Stefan, we come to you. Can you tell us a bit about what you do?
So yes, Steve Framil. I'm the Corporate Global Head of Accessibility at Merck, Sharp, and Dohme, and also very parallel to that at MSD, co-lead of our Global Disability Inclusion Strategy Council, which is inwardly facing and really promoting a disability-confident workforce. When it comes to, and the accessibility program is something that, and perhaps many of you can relate to this, I started from scratch about 6, 7 years ago at Merck, completely nothing, and I found in the communication that I've had and getting this into our processes, our systems development lifecycle, into our internal audit, into our procurement, that accessibility and disability inclusion is very much relatable, especially within the healthcare and pharma space. When you think about it, patients, by their very nature, have comorbidities, have frailties, and disabilities. In fact, often therapies can cause disabilities if they're perhaps temporary only. Sometimes those therapies can cause permanent disabilities. Mm-hmm. And I think specifically about if anyone has been on chemotherapy can relate to the peripheral neuropathy that you have in your fingers and toes that can really make just working on a keyboard very challenging. So I've found in the pharma and the healthcare space that this is very ingrained in the work that we do. But unlike my co-panelists up here, I am not an engineer, I'm not a scientist, I'm not a marketeer, I'm not a physician.
You're not a nerd.
I'm not a lot of things. And I always wondered, how did I find myself in this position? And when I look back at the different phases of my career, I've noticed that accessibility was always there. Whether I was building schools in the Caribbean for at-risk youth, or creating an inner-city conservatory in West Philadelphia for the at-risk youth in the neighborhood to have free lessons, music lessons, and orchestra, and other several examples. And often I've felt, and maybe perhaps some of you can relate to this, a little bit of imposter syndrome, because I'm also, back in 2022 and then just last year, a 2-time Ironman. And for those of you who don't know what that means in the course of 17 hours having to swim, bike, and run 225 kilometers. And I don't do it great. I have like just 3 minutes left to spare, so I'm really, really slow. But I've often felt like, doing things like this, and you're leading accessibility for a major pharmaceutical company. And then in 2023, I was diagnosed with colon cancer, had a colectomy surgery and chemotherapy. And that really kind of brought the whole meaning as to disabilities for those of us who otherwise are able-bodied can really knock at your door at any time. Mm-hmm. So I'm happy to say that as of the moment, no evidence of disease. I have my next checkup in a month, but this is something that I will always live with, and also brings more meaning and impact to leading accessibility at a global pharmaceutical company, but also I will always be a patient. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for 2 things. A, for sharing your philosophy of accessibility that's kind of transcended throughout your life, but also for sharing your personal story. And just to say that we know that people can become disabled at any time in their lives, and actually we expect that people will become disabled at one point in time of their life. So thank you very much for that. And also for bringing in a new perspective around pharma and healthcare, a really important area when we think about AI and employability. So I'm going to pivot to this side to talk a bit more with our colleagues in relation to the pitches. And the first pitch that we'll get is from the Voice Garden.
Hi, I'm Will. I'm an occupational therapist and an engineer from the ACE Centre in the UK. We're a charity. We see around 20% of the most complex individuals in the UK for communication fundamentally. So my day-to-day job is actually seeing people on the ground and providing solutions. I'm also doing this work today and talking about it on behalf of Open Assistive and Open Collective of other individuals doing the same sort of thing. And going to talk about this project called Voice Garden. The other collaborators on this project are Mozilla Common Voice have agreed to host the product we're creating here, and the Open Home Foundation, which is a foundation collecting of commercial and non-commercial entities to make open voice assistants. The challenge. A lot of you have got a phone where it can talk to you, right? You either use Siri or you've got something on Google or on Alexa. They've all got these systems now that can talk in some way. The underlying technology is called text-to-speech. It has text, you write it in, and it can speak in some way. The market for this is pretty well known probably to most of this audience. Obviously blind users using it for screen readers. We talk about it as AAC users, people who use communication equipment, which is a large number worldwide, as well as the cognitive impairment market and commercial uses, including voice assistants that we talk about and customer service. The solutions that are available are a mixture of commercial solutions and non-commercial. However, we have a small problem, and that is the fact that we have around 7,000 languages in the world, but only 2% of these are actually available via text-to-speech systems. We have about 149 of those available. The next problem is we only have 58 of those languages are available offline, which is a real significant challenge because if we're talking about working worldwide, or even in the UK where someone's in a hospital where they've got no internet access, these voices just will not work. And we have a significant problem where we're supporting people with a second language or a first language which is not supported by TTS. So we have a problem. The next challenge in this space is it's actually quite expensive to build a new voice for a whole new language. There's a lot of components you need and a lot of kind of skills you need to do that. So the fundamental questions that come down is like, who gets this new TTS and who in the world is there? Well, there is a commercial viability to this, and that's the challenge that we've got, is they have to build this for commercial purposes, and it's got to be valuable to them. And we need fast text-to-speech, and we need it high quality, and it's not easy. Okay, it's on 0, I think that's right. Okay, so we need to actually create the raw data to collect this. We need to develop a software pipeline to do this. We need to effectively create the components to build a TTS system out there, and we'll make it effectively easy for any country to make a voice and lower the cost. We've done some mapping of this, and we now need to build the tools to enable all TTS to work across these systems, to build the SAPI system, the Android system, and the iOS system to work with us. We've outlined some costs, and we need now to work with partners to do the ethical component for this locally and build 6 voices for 6 new areas to correctly reflect the playbook going forward. And we need some funding. So if you have some funding that are available to do this, we really hope to open up this space and make it available for no cost for any individual to have TTS in their language where they need to. Thanks.
Thank you so much. Thanks for that great presentation. Should we move quickly to the next one? And the next one is TiPY.
Servus, I'm Matthaeus from Austria, and I'm the founder of TiPY Keyboard. TiPY, the one-handed keyboard. Who needs a one-handed keyboard? Everyone. Everyone who has only just one hand or can only use one hand. Yes. So when we think about people with just one hand, we think about amputees, we think about people who lost their arm or hand or are born like this. But the second bigger numbers are actually people who had a stroke. As an example, in Germany, there are 300,000 stroke patients every year, and 100,000 of them remain with some kind of disability, with a nerve damage or one body-sided paralyzing. And they have all one thing in common. They want to use the computer like they did before. But unfortunately, it's impossible like the old ways. So they need something new, and TiPY is the solution, because TiPY is made for it. And TiPY is made for your right hand. TiPY is also made for your left hand. And TiPY is the first keyboard in the world that supports 12 languages on one device. So we reach a lot of people with one device in a lot of different countries with a lot of different languages. And I'm happy to announce that we got last year in Germany a German 8 number. TiPY got its own German 8 number, so it's fully financed and supported by the German healthcare system. We already sold 2,500 units in 40 countries because of this multilingual system on this TiPY keyboard. And we're building it in Austria and Germany. What I'm here is I'm looking for support for a bigger network to get this product into the right systems, in the school systems, rehabilitation systems. Any contact is helpful for me. And since I'm so fast, I would like to show you a small video where you can see how the TiPY trainer works, because it's so different. Is it running? Yes. So it's so differently designed that you have to learn it. There's a small learning curve, but as you can see how easy it is to type and to use. The online trainer is free on our website and for everyone available. Yes, that's me typing. And this can learn everyone. It's really easy. And I'm happy to show you this. So thank you for your time. Thank you.
Thank you to TiPY. That was great. And sorry that we're rushing people, but it's the nature of this approach that we get short presentations. The next presentation is from Bioniks. Give them a hand of applause.
Hello, everyone. I'm Niaz. I'm a CEO and founder of Bioniks from Pakistan. I'm 183 centimeters tall and wears blue suit. So can I change the slide? Okay. In 2016, I received a random email from a family whose child was born without a hand. And they asked me, since you are doing a robotics engineering, can you make a prosthetic arm for our little boy? So I met that little boy and I asked him, what kind of prosthetic arm do you want? And he told me he needs an Iron Man hand. And since then, the journey of Bioniks has started. As you know, 80% people around the world do not have access to the prosthetic. And if you make a human chain around the world, it can go 4 times around the world. So how Bioniks is solving this solution problem? So we are most cost-effective prosthetics in the market. And we does not require people to travel all the way to different parts of the world for the prosthetic. All you have to do, you can use our mobile app for 3D scanning, and we can ship the bionic arm at your doorstep. Until now, we have thousands of users in Pakistan and across the globe. And those users are able to generate $700,000 annually. We just not focus onto the bionic limbs and prosthetics, but we also create a community around it so that people can learn from each other and help them in social and economical well-being. If any hospitals wants to build infrastructure, they would have required $8 to $15 million to build huge hospitals to able to manufacture 50 limbs in a month. But since Bioniks is an innovative solution, we have designed a lab that can fit into the container and can produce 700 to 900 limbs in a month. And that can be deployed in any part of the world. We have different type of platforms through which we can connect clinics as well as users together. And up till now, the growth of Bioniks is phenomenal. We are looking for partners and collaborators so that we can distribute this technology globally. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Bioniks. Thank you very much. So can we go to the next pitch from Independo?
Hi. Okay. Hi, my name is Konstantin. I'm from a company called Independo. We're based right here in Vienna. And thank you for this opportunity. So in the slides, there is a calendar in light mode, and another one in dark mode. And one from Apple, and another one from Google. But what they all have in common is they use text to communicate information. But as you in here are all aware, not everyone uses text to communicate. There are also those who use pictograms or audio. And this is why we developed our first product, the Independo calendar. The goal is to enable AAC users to independently manage their schedules and share their calendars and stories, and therefore be a bit more part of the digital world. We do this by synchronizing with existing solutions. So for example, we synchronize with Google Calendar, and we translate this text-based information into pictograms and vice versa. Our app has been designed in co-design and co-creation with over 50 partner institutions from Germany, from Austria, and Switzerland. And we have done countless user testings and expert sessions to really create a product that meets our users' needs. But we want to build more. We want to build an entire app suite. So we're currently working on a journaling application, so the calendar for planning ahead, the journaling for looking back, a routines application, and then build more products in this whole suite of applications. Our mission is to make everyone feel included by making the digital world accessible to all. And we're currently raising our pre-seed round, so if this sounds interesting to you, please come talk to me after the session. Thank you so much.
Fantastic. So thank you very much. That was a really great lineup of pitches. And now I'm going to turn back to the panel to see if they have any reflections, any thoughts. What are you taking away? What can we look at in terms of scaling? Let's hear it from you. Christopher.
I'll start. I'll just go in order, if that's all right, because my notes. So in terms of the voice garden, what I'm trying to understand is, are you creating the platform that empowers organizations to create the TTS for themselves? Or are you actually going to create them in your organization?
Okay, so both, right? Fundamentally, kind of the plan here is that there's a lot of tools that already exist. There's a lot of things that already exist. We're not reinventing the wheel here. Most ML researchers use public data sets to create new TTS, effectively. There's a lot of commercial entities that have done that too. They're struggling because they can't actually create TTS in these novel languages because there is no data. So step one is to create the data sets available that's there. Part two is, which is where it comes down to the end user, they effectively need this to work on their device without any integration, which is effectively building the tool chain to make APK files and effectively iOS voice synthesizer and SAPI integration for this stuff. So that's the main work, is to build this like tool chain to allow any ML system, any like ML kind of Onyx-based model to work on those devices. But effectively create the data and create the pipeline so that allows anybody to effectively do that, plus create the recipes really for how to create the data so that any country can then go and collect their own data that's needed in a standard format way, which is kind of been done. Mozilla Common Voice have done this for speech to text. We now need just to improve the process for text to speech.
Great. Eric, any questions, any thoughts?
Yeah. So are we going to go through all of them, or just
go ahead, if you please.
I've got comments on all of them. So we'll start with text to speech. So I've been doing a lot of work with 11 labs, right? And I think this is maybe, sorry? Oh, that's not. I think this is maybe they're completely cloud-based, right? And they don't have an on-prem solution. I've actually talked to them about an on-prem solution. What they've developed is basically a DNN, a big deep neural network, and it's part of their secret sauce. And they're worried about putting it on-prem because that would take away their intellectual property. Mm-hmm. Now this on-prem DNN, or this cloud-based DNN, they've gone and trained hundreds of thousands of voices. They spent a lot of time and effort doing this, right? And it recreates these incredible voices. And so what they do on top of this DNN that knows how to speak English, they've gone and layered another training layer on top of that has different languages. And I think they're up to 130 plus languages to do this. So there's a huge amount of training that goes into this DNN on top. just so that you can go from English to any language that's in the list. And then on top of that, they take your personalized language. And so there's 30 minutes of training that goes into this, and they run it through this algorithm and basically does inference learning on top of that and creates this package that becomes your unique voice, but it sounds just like you. I've got my own personal voice, and it's pretty cool. To put that on-prem, I would need to take that model and fit it onto whatever device I want to run. And there's a couple problems with this. So I also work at this big technology company called Lenovo, I think. So part-time. So I consult there. But it's the hardware needed to run this system. So you need to have either a big GPU on the system, or these future systems are coming out with these neural processing units. They're called AI PCs that are out there. So this model has to be able to fit inside of those neural processing units, and right now they're too big. But I understand the ask for it, and I believe, having it on device, you want your own voice. You're not talking about like just the Apple voices, which are, sorry Apple, they're terrible. I don't know who they sound like, but having your own voice on that platform would be incredible. And that's, I really want something like that, but I also understand the huge engineering challenge that undergoes it. So I guess I'm rolling all this into a question. So how do you envision overcoming these challenges?
So many of these things have already been done. We've already got a tool out there that we've created, which any AAC user right now can go and put on their device. It enables you to use Google and Azure voices, which are all cloud-based, as well as something called Sherpa-Onyx. Sherpa-Onyx is a system that basically takes Onyx files. These are like zipped, effectively ML machine learning voice models that are done in VITs, and we run those. We run those right now on commercial AAC systems, which are pretty underpowered. So they haven't got any funky GPU. We're running that there. There's a lag of around about 2 seconds to do voice generation. That's probably not good enough if you're a blind user, so we need to tweak that a lot and improve that a bit. But effectively, we've already kind of done the hard engineering of that. What you're actually talking about there is voice cloning. That is a little bit more of a thing. There's a bit more to that because you're fine-tuning a model. That's definitely probably needs to still happen in the cloud, but the final model can run offline, right? That can be done now.
This is Christopher. I think you're trying to solve a slightly different problem than what Levin was. You're trying to solve for the blind user wanting to be able to read text on a device, things that are happening there. So it's a slightly different thing. Still a hard problem. One of the big questions is how do you prioritize which languages to choose? Because with the 7,000 still to go.
Yeah. Great question. And if you are, I've never actually managed to speak to anyone in an Apple or a Google kind of entity like this, but I can only imagine the way it works is that you look at the markets that are effectively you can sell in, right? If you're Azure right now, they've probably got more languages than anybody else. They are looking at probably fundamentally which markets are going to need voice assistants or marketing or kind of telephone call services where they can effectively sell Azure there. I'm sure it's not only that, but that's an angle. Now, we've got a different need, and that's the fundamental, people who need to communicate in different languages. We can do that ourselves. We already have done an audit of our own languages in the UK that are bilingual or primary first languages that we're struggling to meet. That's part one. Really, part two, though, we can do some other stuff. Meta already produced a big table of the languages that they created models for. The TTS doesn't actually work fundamentally in a lot of their languages, but they've done this work. And we can look at population sizes for each of those languages and do some sort of heuristics to figure out what is the most likely languages that we need, a population size we can hit. But actually, there is a broader question which I'm looking for kind of collaborators with to understand what are those priorities we need to. So two halves of that question, Chris. I can answer it, but I feel we need to broaden that question up a little bit further. Yeah.
Great. Well, I think that's what we're hopefully doing these couple of days. Over to you.
So this will be the non-engineer comment or question. And of course, we all know that when you're designing for digital accessibility, it's the curb cut effect. In fact, you should have that as a checkbox. Does this hit the curb cut effect where it's essential for some or useful, but useful for everyone? And what I appreciated, especially about TiPY, was that, I mean, I'm kind of a big guy, and so when I'm on the airplane and I've got my laptop, I can't use both my arms because it's very cramped space. And I thought, this is something that I could really use, especially when I'm traveling, when I'm flying, because sometimes I only have one use of my, and that would be what we call, I guess, you know, a situational disability. You can only use one hand. And so I think, and also with the calendar, and so I think as we're building out assistive technologies, maybe that's a criteria to consider, is like the curb cut criteria. Is this, you know, some people really need this, but it's useful for everyone in a variety of situations. And so I found both of those very, very exciting to learn about, so thank you.
No, absolutely. As a non-engineer myself, I can appreciate that because I mean, for me, TiPY really exemplifies universal design and that it's something that will work for everybody. But I was wondering if you had any comments or reflections for Bioniks or from Independo.
Well, just quickly on Bioniks, I guess the question I have is, have you ventured into the space of para-athletes and things of that nature?
Not up till now, but we are looking for partners so that we can, because our users are able to do almost every task with these limbs. Even people with bilateral amputation, they are able to ride bicycle and drive a car. So probably it could be a good way to showcase the world how the technology can be accessible for everyone.
Great. Christopher?
Yeah, if I can move on to Independo, in terms of it's nice to see you again. One question that I have, and this is sort of elucidated by David Baines yesterday, is that not all images are the same. And if you think about cultural aspect of these things, how does someone, is it possible for someone to customize a card using the global symbols image from yesterday, the Friends card? What kind of flexibility do you have in terms of cultural sensitivities?
So right now we started with the Metacom set, which is the one that's predominantly used in the German-speaking region, and we just talk to schools and organizations what they use. We also have the option to upload your own pictograms. So you can extend this set to maybe a picture of your grandma, because for some of our users it's just easier to see an actual picture of her instead of the generic pictogram. And for us the goal is to, for example, integrate global symbols to have a broader set in there. But we're started with 6 people, so we also have to figure out where we can put our resources. Yeah.
Eric?
Moving on to TiPY. So the one-handed keyboard is interesting to me, right? So one of the things that we're designing is a circular keyboard for eyes, and the concept is your eyes move in circles. The one-handed keyboard is interesting because it's kind of you know, monochromatic, or what do you want to say? It has some of the same challenges that we have when you're doing eye gaze, in that you've got a lot of characters, a lot of letters. The advantage, of course, you have 5 fingers that you can type with, as opposed to one eye that you're trying to go around with. But I think adding in some artificial intelligence, adding in some predictive, word advance as you're typing on the keyboard would be incredibly helpful. And I know, building that into that model would also be quite interesting. So you have, same kind of things that we're doing with eye gaze would also be very interesting with TiPY. Have you thought about adding any kind of either software package that goes with the keyboard that enhances the ability to type faster?
Absolutely, yes. I think the great thing about technology is that it is combinable, that we can use several or different kind of products and assist the person who's using it. So the TiPY keyboard is a keyboard. It has a mouse on board as well, but we've seen by the users that they're using, for example, the Kua headset mouse, so that you can use your head to steer the mouse pointer on the screen and use the TiPY keyboard for writing and typing. So this would also work, of course, with some kind of eye gaze product or camera eye steering software. So yes, I think there's a lot of things we can put together and make it a better experience for the customer.
Great, fantastic. Any more points?
We're going to go on. Yeah, I guess the Independo, is that how you say it? Independo. Independo, I want to get it right, Independo. I guess I'm looking at the light and dark mode and the different aspects to it. So how are you resizing the images? Are you turning them all into code? What's the concept or the technology?
Can you maybe rephrase it a bit in terms of resizing? What do you mean by that?
Are you using any technology to resize the images?
Yeah, I mean, we're cropping things out, we're compressing them to make sure that they're working on all the things, but the pictograms...
display them on different platforms. So I was trying to understand, how do you go from the images that you're showing, into light and dark mode, and then take the images, like for example, there's technology where you can have the images converted into like a code or software and reduce the size of the images. Are you doing anything like that with the technology?
So right now we're just using the standard pictogram sets that are out there. We don't really change them a lot. We just use what's there, and we use the pictograms that people upload themselves.
But they're more like bitmaps as opposed to SVGs.
Yeah, we use the WebP format for like smaller compression size and stuff like that. But also like we preload them on the device so that they're available offline, stuff like that.
I think to Eric's point, when you flip into dark mode versus light mode, if you're using just a bitmap, you are going to have a white background. So you're going to have these pops. If you go into dark mode, you have these pops of white sticking out. If you convert them into SVGs, then you can actually invert the color. So you can actually make them more easily readable when in dark mode. Yeah. It's some effort, but it's one of these sort of fine touches that provides delight.
Yeah, actually we don't support dark mode yet in the application because, as I said, we're trying to figure out the resources. But I think there's a startup coming up that does exactly that in the second
Great,
set of pitches.
And that's a good segue for us to give you a warm round of applause with this set of pictures, and invite the next set up, please. And so we'll ask to come to the stage accessibility surveys, equivalent, and Happybots. Thank you. Thank you. Lots of wisdom imparted. Thank you, panel. Jerry, mic, please.
My name is Jerry, and I'm the CEO and co-founder of Accessible Data. I'm a white, middle-aged man wearing a purple sweater. I want to start by asking you a question. What if we had the opportunity, together, to resolve the accessibility issues with gathering data? Because I think everyone in the room knows that there's data missing. Information on the 1.3 billion people who have a significant disability. What if we could collect that data and make it available at our fingertips? What if businesses had that data and could engage deeply and effectively with their customers and with their staff? What if governments could hear from all their citizens before making decisions which affect everyone? What if researchers had robust data sets which included everyone to underpin their findings and conclusions? And what if organizations of disabled persons could easily gather and share information with their members? The good news is, this is possible. Over the last 18 months, Accessible Data have worked with small not-for-profits, as well as some of the largest organizations in the world, including UNICEF, Iowa University, and the Irish government, helping them to collect richer, more inclusive data. Think of us as a Google Forms or a Microsoft Forms, but a highly accessible version of that. Our approach to accessibility is you want to be asking everyone the same set of questions, but the way the questions are presented should suit the requirements of the person completing the form. So that someone should be able to navigate a form easily using their screen reader, or have questions supported by sign language, or presented in an easy read mode. They should also have the option to listen to questions being read aloud, or to answer questions by leaving a voice message. We developed our platform in close collaboration with IDA, the International Disability Alliance, and our approach is to partner with OPDs as we scale. I'm really delighted to be here presenting accessible data to you. We have a booth outside, and we'd be delighted to talk further with you if what I've shared today is interesting. Thank you.
Thank you. So if we could move on to equivalent. Yes, please. That's you, Heather.
So today, I'm going to show you the next generation of graphics. Because my slides are actually in dark mode, because dark mode is actually an accessibility setting for people like myself with vision impairments that actually have sensitivity to light. There was also a study done by Atos proving that dark mode saves on average 28% energy consumption and up to 63% of your mobile battery life. These insights helped inspire us to push the boundaries of our own image technology to see if we can make a better future for all. My name is Heather Neff, and I'm the co-founder and CEO of Equivalent. Equivalent isn't just building technology. We're actually shaping the future where the internet itself becomes both inclusive and sustainable. Because it's time for a graphics revolution. Legacy image formats are inaccessible, inefficient, and completely outdated. We have an AI-powered transformation engine that enables designers to easily create code-based, accessible, lightweight, and legally compliant designs. And they don't even have to have any legal expertise or coding skills. Our solution is to create software that transforms your images into intelligent, responsive code. We call them smart graphics, as they respond instantly to all of your users' personalized preferences and device settings. We have patent-pending IP that also allows the image to respond to user-selected colors. Smart graphics then respond to different desktop, mobile, and tablet screen sizes, as well as transforming from light mode to dark mode, and also these custom colors chosen by the user. They work with screen readers and can contain live selectable text, so it's a game changer for the low vision and blind communities. This file is also animated and interactive and only 7 kilobytes, which is a tiny fraction of traditional image sizes, even though it has so many variations and advanced features. We offer automation for dark mode, color contrast, image descriptions, and file size optimization. You can design smart, responsive images and create compliant brand assets at scale with our API, and coming soon, our free Figma plugin. I have an amazing team of accessibility experts, designers, and engineers, and our advisory board has executives from AudioEye, MIT, Techstars, and Adobe. So please scan this QR code if you'd like to watch some demo videos or to book a meeting with me. And if you're an API we were looking for beta testers, so please reach out if you'd like to learn more. Thank you so much.
Great. Thank you, Heather. And then the last in this set is Happybots. Rob, over to you.
Hello. Can I take, excuse me, can I take you to an average classroom in the Netherlands? It's easy, it's quiet, and suddenly a boy flips. It gets mad, it gets roaring, and it takes a quarter of an hour to keep him calm. And then after half an hour, a girl runs away, hides in a corner, crying. You try to help her, but you cannot make a connection. Well, this is an average classroom, and we had a solution to help these kids to communicate about their feelings so they shouldn't get mad or sad or angry so much. And this is our concept car. Maybe I can show this if you want to. Yeah?
Yeah, please go ahead.
I see 2 people nodding, so that's good. But first, this is not a concept car anymore because we tested it already. It's running in about 60 organizations in the Netherlands, healthcare and schools. And this is our concept car. It's Felix. It's a nice guy. As you see, it has no mouth, it has no judgment, it has no language. It helps children and people to communicate by colors. When you turn the color, it's an emotion. When you think, well, I'm a little bit scared now, it winks. It winks. Do you see? And the wink is, it gets to an online platform, it collects data from all over the week, months, periods of time. You can analyze this. So you can help the people with handling their emotions. Well, this should be in every classroom. And to do this, we need some funding. So maybe we can meet, and we're happy to meet you. Thank you.
Thank you. So a really great set of pitches, and I'd like to turn to the panel to get their perspective, their thoughts, advice, and suggestions. Over to you, Christopher.
Yeah, I've seen each of these pitches. I've spoken with several of them before. I want to start with the equivalent SVG. I find this is a really interesting concept. You might have heard of this thing called Google Chrome. I think it's an interesting opportunity to integrate there, because what you bring up is the ability that I find interesting to self-modify what's there, which is sort of the opposite of these overlays where they sort of force things upon you. But the question is there a way for someone to opt out of having their IP modified? So say, like the Apple logos, the Google logos, the certain colors that they need to be. Is there a way to take advantage of your technology, but don't change X and Z?
Mike?
Absolutely. So you can actually determine which areas within the SVG that you'd like to respond and not respond. So for like an example, flag, maybe you don't want your flag colors changing. You can actually prevent that from happening by not allowing that area to be responsive to it. Or you can just turn off the IP part of it. We default the IP to every single image because the only people who actually see that change are people who are asking for that change in contrast themes. So we try to explain this to companies. Like, let's say any company that has a specific color, that yes, your brand might change color, but at least now they can see your brand. So this is a problem with dark transparent images that can be completely blown away in these contrast themes. So instead of just being invisible, now they're bright and beautiful for low vision users. So it might not be the right color, but at least they can actually see your brand, which is more important than having nothing at all.
But designers have different ideas sometimes, and sometimes they don't want it to change. Yeah. But so it is possible to prevent it. Yes. But for those people who want it, and when you don't restrict it, it can be self-modified.
Yes.
Okay.
Great. Eric?
Happybots. I guess a couple questions about the technology itself. So when you spin it, it's changing emotion. So the color represents different emotions. So I'm going to pile up a bunch of questions and I'll turn it over to you. So the question is how do you train someone on which emotion is which? I'm assuming there's some kind of color guide that you have to put out there. Maybe it can be however you want to express it. And then the internet connection, when you hit the top of it, I'm assuming that triggers internet connection that does the wink to say that you're going and uploading it. But how do you also then prevent, say if someone is in a negative mood and they're using this to basically reinforce their negative mood over and over again, how do you accommodate for that? Because we have some similar challenges where if we put out a negative response as one of the options, how do we prevent all the follow-on responses to continue to be negative and going negative, right? So is that data available to the person, the individual, the child who that's using the device, or is it somehow separated out? So those are all my questions.
Rob?
Right, that's a lot of questions. It gives me 10 minutes talk time. That's good. Thank you very much. I've forgotten what your first question was, but one of the questions was, no, I don't know. Excuse me.
When you spin it and it's a certain emotion, how do you indicate the motion? Like
All right,
means
yeah.
what?
You have to make appointments with the user. What color is what emotion? Because it has to be personalized. And you can personalize it by, you can install Felix at our platform. There's a library of colors and eyes and labels, so you can personalize. That's one. The second one is how do you prevent turning negative feelings all over again? Mm-hmm. You need an intervention, yeah? So in the practical situation, you talk to a user every day or week and talk it over during the week and get some advices to handle with their emotions. But in fact, mostly there are a lot of more positive emotions than negative ones, but people stick to the negative ones. And that insight is all so useful. So that's another answer to your question. And you had a third one?
Just the technology, how it works. When you push it and does the wink, I'm assuming that's when it does the internet connection?
Yeah, it goes to an internet connection, that's right. It's via a SIM card, 4G.
And then when you spin it, is any of that data going when you're spinning it?
Excuse me, what?
When you change the emotion, when you spin it, does any of that data...
No, the data goes, the wink confirms the input. So only one input goes into the air and stores in an online platform, and you can see it as a Google Calendar, like all colors, all parts of the week, so you get an overview of the emotional situation of a user during a week, month, year, whatsoever.
Great, lots of questions, we'll have more time to answer, but I'll ask you, Stefan, maybe you have a last point?
Yes, back to the Happybots, and I think I ask this from the perspective of having been a music professor for over 30 years, and certainly over the decades I've had students of varying degrees of cognitive disabilities. So my question is this adaptive or is this therapeutic? Because in a school setting, we're teaching children, and is there some sort of, I'm going to go out of my lane here on the engineering side, some sort of algorithm that can kind of progressively, incrementally move the student to where they are able to express their feelings? Because that's, especially in a developmental stage. So that's my question. Is it adaptive? In other words, this is what it is, and this is how I communicate. Or is this therapeutic, where I'm learning to communicate in my own way with the help of this assistive technology?
Good question. Fundamentally, it's therapeutic. It's an on-site trainer to help handle emotions. And the device itself is not adaptive. Yeah, it's adaptive in personalizing, but not in getting things done. And it's not a therapist itself. It's a buddy for the user, but it's an assistant to a professional.
So at some point, would the student no longer need this? That's not a great business question, but you know.
No, it is what it is. We are developing, we hope to develop people to learn it. So there might be a point that they don't have to learn it anymore. And then goes away and gets to another place to help. It's no problem. It's good.
Great. Well, let's give them a round of applause. Thank you. That was an excellent set of pitches. And stay with us. Stay with us. We still have two more. So I'll say thank you to all three of you and invite the next two onto the stage, Global Symbols and Voice AI. Thank you. Not yet. Okay, David, you're on.
Oh, okay, there we go. Okay, thank you. I'm going to talk very quickly about global symbols and how to make this move.
The big green thing.
The big green thing, okay. That was just describing me. Global symbols. Let me tell you a little bit about global symbols and the work we're doing with Symbol Creator AI. I can't make anything move. Come on. Which one is it? Oh, this one. Okay, that one there. Okay. I'd say Global Symbols is a not-for-profit organisation based in the UK. We have an interest in developing symbols for children and people with no voice that reflect their local language and culture. Thanks to Microsoft, in 2024, we were awarded a grant to develop Symbol Creator AI. And that lets us harness AI to create localized, culturally relevant symbols at a significantly lower cost than any other form of design. The challenge we face is that normally what has happened in the past is that AA symbols are adopted from other parts of the world, and whilst that gives us simple functional communication, it doesn't involve communication that represents our own communities and the society within which we live. So our question that we wanted to then deal with was, can generative AI effectively support the creation of new and customized symbols to enhance, expand existing symbol sets? And the answer was yes. So I could finish there, but I'm not going to. We offer a simple and cost-effective approach to generating and enhancing AAC symbols. We can work with both open symbol sets and proprietary symbols to offer choices to AAC users and their supporters to select the symbols that most represent the concept they want to say. And the importance of localization is perhaps seen in these two symbols. They both represent friends. The first one that you see there shows two boys with one arm around a girl. When we were working in the Middle East, we found this wasn't an entirely appropriate symbol for adult friends. Instead, friends tend to be a single-sex group, hence the symbol with 3 women in it. But it's also about specific vocabulary. So these are symbols that we generated using AI to support access to justice for people with disabilities. People with disabilities without a voice deserve access to justice, and they need the vocabulary to do so. AI gave us the way to quickly and easily create symbols that would give them access, whether that was as a victim, a witness, or as somebody who was undergoing investigation. We completed testing in 3 countries, so more countries than that. We found 80% high satisfaction with the interface and the design, although there was some confusion, and between 50 and 75% of satisfaction with the AI symbols designed. Since then, we've moved that on further, and we think we'll get still higher now when we look ahead. Next steps are, we've been given an additional grant, but we are looking to people to help us to enhance the quality of symbol output, to help us with operating costs, gift in kind for online services, introductions, networking, distribution and awareness, including in low and medium income countries, and research and development opportunities and collaborations. I ignored the sign telling me to be quiet because I'm like that, but thank you very much.
Thank you, David. And if we can quickly move on to voice AI. Dave?
Which way is forward again?
Please.
Sorry. They're going forward. Thanks. Hello, everyone. My name is David Carthy. I'm from Ideal Technology. I'm an Irishman. I'm from Dublin, Ireland. My company installs and distributes assistive technology products and has done for over 30 years. I'm delighted to be invited to the Zero project to present my software, VoiceMate. I have to express gratitude to Dave and Will on an achievement to get an Irishman to shut the hell up in 2 to 3 minutes and get his point across. It's going to be hard. So, what is VoiceMate? VoiceMate is a personal digital voice assistant, or most people call them smart speakers, but this is not just a smart speaker. It's a smart speaker customised for the user, specifically designed for the disability market. It's cloud-free, totally secure, totally private, and has no data collection options. So why bother developing VoiceMate? We know there's other issues, other systems out there. Well, there's lots of studies available that indicate the challenges that disabled people have when using digital voice assistants. I refer to one report from the National Disability Authority of Ireland, where the authors were Brian Boyle, Fiacre O'Brien, David Baines, and Fiona Loudon. Some of the findings are actually on this slide. I won't need to go through the whole lot, but it's interesting to note that it is actually my own experience as an installer. This report is fantastic. The bottom line, the red, the developers of internet technology such as DVAs are motivated by the opportunity afforded to collect that user data. If that's the barrier that disabled people have to using voice assistants, well, VoiceMate has it knocked out of the water. It's fixed. So what's the benefits of VoiceMate? Well, it runs on its own server. It's using the Microsoft Windows platform, does not require cloud-based processing, multilingual, user-independent, and seamlessly integrates with existing AT systems. Is there a market? Absolutely. A couple of figures here, without going through them all in detail. 450 million population in Europe, 17.5% approximately, or 17.7%, are disabled. And in the last 3 months of 2024, 17.5% of persons with severely limiting disabilities use the digital voice assistant. The bit that I'm going to tell you is not there is the country with probably the smallest or near enough smallest population, Ireland, with 5 million, was top of the league with 41% of disabled people using digital technology. So what's next? I've just been, over the last 2 days, being granted a European Digital Innovation Hub grant to further develop the software, fine-tune it. We're working with a license from Azure, from Microsoft, with Azure to bring better facilities to the system. This is a commitment from the Irish and European governments in relation to grants that I have received to date, and they have confirmed they will support me in future with my project going forward. Thank you very much. My name is David Carthy. If anyone wants to talk to me, I will be here for the next few days. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So thank you very much to VoiceMate and to Global Symbols. And I'll now turn back to the panel for any reflections and thoughts on the last 2 presentations.
So a question about VoiceMate. I apologize for not having seen yesterday's presentation, but looking at this, if you're not cloud-based, how do you connect into services, and how do you guarantee someone who has non-typical voices to be able to access and use this?
Sorry, I'm confused with the question. How, if I don't use cloud computing, can the user interface with the product?
Well, I'm still trying to understand what use case is it solving? Is it a communication? Is it a smart home connection? What's the specific use case?
I still don't understand the question. I do apologise.
Let somebody else start.
Eric.
Maybe it would help if you kind of, for VoiceMate, what is it doing? My assumption is it's kind of like a remote control, turns on TVs and things like that, lights. What does it do?
Yes, it's a universal remote control in theory, but it's similar to existing smart speakers on the market. It can interact with existing assistive technology companies that provide and have done installations for the last 20 years. So it would be a voice control, universal remote control in a very basic way, but it is in a smart speaker. It interfaces with the user. It's customizable. It's friendly. You talk to it. You don't instruct it. It can talk back to you. If it's not sure what you said, it'll ask you. So you won't get, we'll say, play Michael Bublé and suddenly get, I don't know, Rihanna. It will actually ask you, did you ask me to play Michael Bublé? Yeah. It has the option to actually ask and answer. Very important for people with disabilities because it will be used to operate blinds, curtains, TVs, heating systems, and possibly entry-exit doors. They're crucial. You cannot have them open and closing sporadically. They have to be, you will get a confirmation. You will never be allowed to directly open a door by mistake, not an entrance door. So it's personalizable, usable, voice control. Most people with progressive illnesses will move on, say, from being able to use a remote control to being switch accessible, to be that maybe even eye gaze. This is just another tool to help people interact with what their environment is there.
Great.
So it's primarily a voice-based device that you talk to, and you allow someone who has, people with disabilities sometimes with physical disabilities have non-typical speech. Think like a thick accent or a deaf accent, or someone with MND who's losing the ability to speak. How do you guarantee that they're going to be understood? What is that process if it's not cloud-based?
Obviously, we're dealing with various different countries, but this is esoteric speech. Obviously, there'll be different speech models and different voice engines, which will be tuned to the individual. Most of the systems, like Azure and that, are pretty user-independent, but not 100%. So, like the likes of Voice Garden and a few others, we'll obviously be dealing with talking with other people.
Okay. Merck?
Question for global symbols. I kind of want to know a little bit more about how it works. So I'm kind of envisioning like a multimodal model, like a ChatGPT or something like that, where you go, you have a symbol, and you say, here's my country, here's some example symbols for my country. Go create a new symbol that is representative of the kind of style points for my current country code. Is that about right, or how does it work?
Yeah, halfway there. It's not bad. Yeah, you
give us the other half.
You get a C+ for that one. So the way we work is that we train models on symbol sets. Now, every symbol set that's available uses what's called a schema, has certain rules for the design of symbols. Everything from what's the outline width to the colors it uses, how does it represent plurals, and so on. So the first thing we do is we train a model on a set of symbols. We've been really lucky as a colleague or a friend of ours has then said, okay, what we need to do, and then we started off by just using text prompts. So you would start off with a text prompt that has really clearly said, create me a boat, a symbol for a boat in the style of boats in Thailand, for instance. And that worked fairly well, but it wasn't great. So then the second side then is an image prompt. So you find pictures of boats from Thailand, and you use that as a seed in the AI system to combine with the text prompt to give you the extra information. And that worked a lot better. You needed to remove backgrounds to get that working. But then there was a third thing. This is where we've been fortunate. A colleague has then taken that a stage further, and is now generating large numbers of graphics representing culturally appropriate elements, so such as boats from anywhere in the world in different styles. And you can take that as your seed. Think of that as your vanilla image. It doesn't fit a symbol set because it hasn't met the schema. But you can put that in as a seed and now say, use this seed to create me a symbol in this style for this locality. And then you've got something that matches the broader symbol set that you've already got. So we've got seeds, we've got image to symbol, text to symbol, all being combined to create a symbol that is locally relevant.
I guess so one of the powers of the symbol is that it's static, right? The symbol is static, meaning the symbol for the three friends on the left side is always going to look like that no matter what. Are you using AI to generate this symbol and then fixing that static symbol, or are you generating the symbol each time? And if you do, how do you prevent the symbol from drifting?
Okay, so what we do, every time we generate a symbol, we generate a set of symbols. So we generate 4 representing the concept. We then go to human voting, who choose which one of those is most appropriate for the symbol set they want to use. So we don't leave it just with AI. And we allow a little bit of editing. So we found that we can get much better symbols if we give people 5 to 10 minutes of editing on the symbol. Sometimes that's to take out a 6th finger or a cow with a 5th leg. But sometimes it's just simply like, as you said, you know, that the symbol for justice has gone on the right side of the symbol, and in every other symbol it's on the left. So you just want to copy that across and move it. So we do a little bit of editing. That's what gets us up to over the 75–80% acceptance. It's just a few minutes of human editing. But yes, sticking to within the schema is important to us.
So I'm aware of the time, and I want to see if there are any questions from the floor or comments from the floor. Here in the front, please. Can we get a mic in the front? I think we need a mic.
So can I just, while the mic is coming down, can I say something?
Yes, please do.
What I'd love to, again, while the mic is coming down, I'd love to see the connection of a couple of the different groups we've had here today. I'd love to see Global Symbols connect to Independo. Yeah. And I'd love to see you output using some of these elemental SVGs so we can start driving more innovation and more adoption of these technologies together.
And more collaboration. And I think we've been hearing a lot about that over the last couple of days. Please.
Dave, it's a kind of a chat GPT in images?
Yeah, I guess so. It's actually based on Microsoft Azure because Microsoft supported us, which is very kind of them. But yeah, it is. The other thing which I didn't say, which is really important, if you're working with open symbol sets, free to use Creative Commons, then the tool is free. You can use it, it's freely open. If you're working with proprietary symbol sets, commercial symbol sets, then we charge the company who owns those symbols for the use of those symbols. But we think it can reduce their costs of up to 80% for generating new symbols.
Fantastic. So I'm going to go back to the panel and ask them for any last closing ideas, reflections based on what we've heard today. I think, Christopher, you were already starting to do that, but it's a really important message. So let's start with you.
Yeah, I think what's really exciting is watching all of these new ideas come through and having been here time and time again, watching them evolve over time. Keep going. You're never going to get it right the first time, and there's no such thing as perfection. So the most important thing is that you continue to drive forward with the community that you're trying to meet and trying to solve for, because it's too easy to just sort of get stuck in your silo and continue doing the same thing again and again. So stay intentional in terms of your desire to be inclusive, and stay humbled in terms of the feedback that you get, because you might think that you're great and someone says that you ain't got it. You have to take that kind of feedback to make your product meet the goals that we have.
Fantastic. Eric, your last parting words.
So I'm a big believer in kind of a customer-first design approach. And I've done it both ways. I've done it where I've designed things kind of, you know, how I think it should be done and built it, and then you throw it over to your customer set, and, you know, they either use it the way you thought or use it a different way or don't like the way it's worked. But having that, you know, almost like that ability to fail and fail fast and show something of what you're doing to your end user set, and then taking those failures and either tweaking or pivoting. You know, it's kind of like the, I guess it's there's some theory in there somewhere, but ultimately having that instantaneous feedback on what works and what doesn't, I find is a really nice way to continuously improve your model. So that's how I like to do it.
Fantastic. Stephen.
Yes, so this was triggered by something that VoiceMate you have on your website. Did a little bit of homework, but you use the words assisted living. And at least in the United States, that means that for the aging population. And I think to connect with what you mentioned about users, I think that's something that really, I think maybe could have some more attention. I'm in the sandwich generation. My parents will be 87 years old this year, and they don't consider themselves disabled, even though one's in a wheelchair with a walker and another one has 2 bionic hips from falling. They just consider themselves just aging. And with all of these innovations, you know, the idea that our aging population doesn't want to feel like they're aging. And so adopting technologies that help them, there can be a lot of pushback, a lot of resistance. I know my dad doesn't want to wear his hearing aid because well, maybe he doesn't want to hear my mom talk to him, but, and he's also stubborn, because that's what old men are, but it just makes him feel less than what he was. So I think to factor that into all of these innovations and into the user testing, because really at the end of the day, we're all aging, and adoption of these technologies is what's going to create a beautiful in our sunset years. Thank you.
Thank you. So we've had an excellent set of pitches and a fantastic panel with loads and loads of wisdom. Please stop the colleagues in the corridors and ask more questions. And if you're funders, think about funding. I just want to close with something I heard yesterday at the Tech Forum, and that was that innovation without inclusion is not innovation. And that's really going to stick with me for a long time. So please welcome me by thanking an excellent set of speakers, panelists, and pitchers this afternoon. Thank you very much. Thank you.